During the Rod Brind'Amour era, the talk of culture, you hear that word all the time, but there's no denying what a remarkable difference there's been. We expect the Canes to not only make the playoffs, but go deep, and they have under Rod Brind'Amour. Full credit to him. Our producer, Jim Glynn, put it well. He called him a franchise icon. Yet in the business of coaching, sometimes there's not as much patience as there should be. I turn to Dallas Eakins and I say, there's no way this man's in danger, please, right?
Not a chance. Like, he is just an incredible coach.
Yes.
And when I think of their organization, they've set it up to be consistently a championship caliber team.
Yeah.
And that's how they do their business. It's not go all in to win one Stanley Cup. They want to consistently be good. And then by that way, you're just throwing, every year you've got a dart right there trying to hit that bullseye of a Stanley Cup. And I really appreciate their discipline, the way they target players. And it's right from Tom Dundon to the GM to the assistant GM to the coach. It's an amazing setup for an organization.
Yeah, Don Waddell, GM, I've been around him a long time, and he really is a very methodical thinker, bright guy, great hockey man, but very conservative by contrast. And I think that has a lot to do, certainly with his personal approach. And then, too, and I think this is the point you're making, Dallas, it's the context, right? It's Carolina. You can't be a cap year, every year kind of team. But I think the approach has really been demonstrated over time. We are looking to incrementally get to the top of the mountain. And I think if you look at this group, back to your question about Rod Brind'Amour, I mean, he might be a lifer in that job for starters. He's that credible, that effective. But this group has improved each year that we've seen them over the last 3 or 4 years, and you really got to give them a pass for where they ended up this year. I thought they took a step forward. I thought, given the roster and how banged up they were, missing 3 players from their top 6, this is a fair reward. This is a just way for this group to have finished up this year. So to the point I guess I'm trying to make at the end of the day, somebody like Don Waddell, who's seen this team in this context kind of improve yet again, even though they're banged up. You don't fire your head coach at this moment in time.
What about the goalie situation? As we look at what happened to Svechnikov and Pacioretty, unfortunately we got to see some of Turbo at the very end of the playoffs. The goalies, they each had a star turn throughout the course of this year. So Cam Ward in 06 was the guy. What do they do to find their guy? Because clearly they want desperately to get to the top of the mountain again.
Yeah. I don't know. If it's me, I'm a long-standing Frederik Andersen fan, and at 33, 34 years of age, given what we saw from him, now the one question mark, it's really never performance, it's health around Freddie Andersen. But, I'm inclined, if the two sides can meet, a 1-year deal for Freddie Andersen, a guy that I thought turned in some really solid goaltending towards the end of the playoffs when he became the guy again. I'd be willing to put my money down on Freddie again.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the biggest conversation they probably have is going to be their goaltending.
Yeah.
Freddie Andersen is an excellent goaltender, except for you cannot be an excellent goaltender if you're in the medical room
and be healthy half the year. Yeah.
I think there's going to be a whole lot of talk about this team's roster. They do have their top 6 squared up. They've got their top 4 on D squared up. I think the goaltending position will be the biggest conversation that they have.
Roster composition, RFAs, UFAs. In a cap world, we're constantly looking at how do you slice up the pie. There's Max Pacioretty at the top, a UFA. Jordan Staal, who is such a leader. There's Andersen, the Ghost, and down the list. What about this element to their drive as they continue, as he pointed out, throwing darts? You got to have the right guys throwing the darts. What about the decisions that have to be made regarding free agency?
Yeah, tough to button down everybody because a lot of those names are coming to market and are going to be asking for those dollars or in that proximity. So tough to button everybody down. I will say this, and this is really, I think, the point that Dallas and I are making. This is a group, to me, the one question I've had about Carolina in years past, Are they heavy enough? Is there enough playoff DNA? I think they answered that question this year. Again, I thought they shut down some really talented teams, got themselves as far as they did with a badly depleted roster, missing some really top-end guys. I think this team has all the elements. Again, the key question being on goaltending, but I've loved the organic improvement and the additions that Waddell has made over time, like a Pacioretty.
How about this roster? What are your thoughts on going forward, the direction they take?
Well, number one, they know their team better than anybody else.
Sure.
Me looking from the outside, I think everybody just needs to take a chill pill here. The injuries, I could argue that they overachieved.
Sure,
with
I
the
think so.
the guys that they had out.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to get healthy. They'll get back in the lineup. They'll make the decision on the goaltending. They do have their top 6 forwards, top 4D ready to go. And like I said before, they have amazing discipline at finding value on players that fit into their system. And they have a system of play that Rod has created, that the management and ownership has endorsed. And I think they're just going to move forward just like they always do, and they're going to keep throwing those darts.
I love that parallel.